Hi, and welcome to Funny Minds. I'm your host, Lynn B., and this is my co-host, Edward Biss. And we have the wonderful, talented, interesting...
Mr. Tim Lowry.
Ooh, thank you.
Mister.
You're very kind.
Mister.
Yes, you're very kind.
This is episode 2, by the way. So for the listeners out there, this is part 2 with Tim Lowry. Tim was on with us for his first episode and touched on a lot of touring, shows, gear, you name it, a little bit of everything. And this episode, Tim is going to dive a little bit deeper into some of his other passions and stuff that he does with his life that we find absolutely interesting, unique, and one of the big things about this podcast was trying to get interesting folks on here that have a great sense of humor, and we definitely found one right here. Yeah, I know, right? But Tim, give us first of all, welcome again.
Thank you very much
for hanging out with us.
Of course.
2 episodes, and thank you for banging your dick on my mom's foot.
No, that wasn't
James.
Tim. That was James.
He wanted to. That's a jar of dicks. By
But they're
the way,
eating
we
dicks.
just jar of dicks.
Boom.
But Tim, why don't you go ahead and jump into a little bit of what you do aside from music, that people that know you or may think they know you. Because you get a lot of that. Believe me, you play music long enough, people think they know you.
That's right.
Aside from music that is special in your life and that we find hugely and incredibly fucking awesome, to be honest with you. And go ahead and talk about it a little, Tim.
Sure. Well, I know what you're talking about, right? Because like kind of my weekday experience when I'm not playing, I've been doing this for quite a while. It's hands-on energy healing, and I was trained, let's just say, at the Barbara Brennan School of Healing, which is originally was in New Jersey, New York, and then now is a licensed college in Florida.
Okay.
Oh, you're in Florida.
Yeah, well, there's a Miami. Now, it's totally different than when I went at this point. Not totally different, but I mean, the setup is different where there's some sister schools and little outlets here and there to try to help people to, it's the biggest thing for the school when I was back there was, you had to come to one place.
Okay.
Right. And now you can go closer to your home for like, say, the first year or the first part of the training, and then you go to the main place.
Is it a 4-year?
Yeah, so I went through 4 years of training, and then 2 years of instructor training and supervision training. So those were kind of melded together, and then I taught for about 12 years at the school.
Really?
Yeah. But I was
Florida or New York?
Well, it wasn't in New York anymore. So
Okay.
I did some training in New York.
Oh, okay.
Right, like.
But then came to Florida.
Then the school was
else.
based in Florida when the college started. Right,
Okay.
so they actually hired a bunch of people that knew how to create a college, which is significantly heavy paperwork.
Yeah, well, that's...
Especially for some sort of spiritual stuff like this.
Okay.
Anyway. Now you can get an actual degree, a BS degree. And so anyways, the Miami school was one place that I taught. And I did that for, quite a while. And then also there was a sister school in Austria. So for a little while I was doing both.
So you were in Austria doing this?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. So,
today, mate.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's Australia.
Shrimp
And
on
you're-
the barbie.
and you're down under.
Gary.
Australia, not Austria, not Australia. But anyway.
Dumb and Dumber.
So,
Okay.
I mean, for a few years there, I think it was 5 or 6 years, 6 or 7 years, something like that. I would go back and forth. So 1 month I would teach in Miami, and then the next month I would teach in Austria. And so it was like, kind of like mini, I won't say vacations because they were very much working, but I was there for, from Montana, I would fly down to Miami, or from Montana, I would fly to Austria. And it was, 12 days, 2 weeks, of each month. So anyway, that was quite a bit. That was like all of my life. I wasn't playing music at that time. So how I went from music to this to then kind of both. When I was really young, 20s, 19, 20, 22, I was playing. I was running around the country like a crazy man, literally, and full of myself.
Well, don't we all when we're that age?
and full of myself.
I'm sure.
Thinking I had it all figured out, and realizing at one point that I might probably not be Guns N' Roses. I guess I wasn't gonna. So I had to make a big change for myself. Right, part of that was coming off the road and taking some stock in what the hell I was up to. Which was too much drinking and drugs and stuff. And so I went actually to a halfway house and a inpatient treatment when I was 22.
Wow. Okay.
And after that kind of part of music for me, I got clean and I said, okay, I really want to be able to do this and play music without and know that I can do it without the other stuff, without the other, distractions, let's just say.
Right.
And so I did that. So I went out and I was with some guys for a few years, 3 years, and we were, touring around and doing stuff. And then I was like, okay, I'm not making enough money to live.
Yes.
I mean, the reality was I didn't have a family. There was no wife, no
Right.
kids, no nothing. It was just me. So, who cares? Then I can live on $300 and it doesn't matter. But I realized that I wanted, a little bit more in the bigger picture. Like I had a larger outlook. So I actually came back to Chicago and went to Northwestern University and finished college. Thank God. I think my family realized, oh, that was really a good idea. We thought you were gone.
You were playing all along. You just delayed it by.
Thank you, Lord. He saw the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, exactly. We thought you were lost. And then, of course, the interesting part of this, and this is kind of a digression, I suppose, but it's during that time, because I was older, but I was back in college, right? So I actually went to a wedding for a friend of mine that was in the college experience for me, right? So I went to their wedding, and my wife actually went to their wedding. I didn't know at the time, so we met at their wedding, and that's how I met my wife. So.
Did you sling a couple of these
out? Sometimes there are things that need to be done.
You just gotta throw your dick around.
Sometimes you think there are things that need to be done. She was actually, thank God she didn't laugh like that. And
right.
and as long as they're not laughing like that, I think something might happen. You don't
find that attractive?
So anyway, that's when we talked about this briefly on the last cast, which was then we moved to Montana. So I graduated college, we got married, and I moved to Montana with her.
Okay.
Just the two of us into that little log cabin. Right?
Into your little cabin, yeah.
So all during that time, I wasn't playing music, and what I was doing was the energy work. I met her, and she introduced me to all that.
So what is the energy healing?
So
what is
the Barbara Brennan School of Healing was basically founded by Barbara.
Okay.
And she was a NASA physicist. So that started to have, I'll just say, as I understand it, some spontaneous experiences with healing, right? With clients, with working with people. And so she wrote a few of the groundbreaking books about the human energy field and how it works and what it looks like and what it can help us do. And what she created was, Hands of Light and Light Emerging, two biggest books, and everybody now in the kind of field like references those because they're the reference material.
Kind of like the Bible of that.
Yeah.
Kind of. I mean, there's everybody's done a lot of different stuff, and you've probably heard of Carolyn Myss, who talks about spiritual stuff and chakras and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, so there's plenty of it out there now, but at the time, this was 19...
She was very innovative.
Yeah, 85, 84. I mean, it was like early 80s, mid 80s, where nobody was talking about it.
No, not unless you took some LSD.
And then, right. which, I think there's something there too.
A couple times,
Yeah. So she then founded her own school, right? And so some of the people that started coming, and she started teaching, and slowly began being. When I started, my wife had been in for a couple of years, so she's a graduate also, and my wife Laura, and so she'd been in a couple of years, and so I went with her kind of like as a support. Like I'm like, okay, I love you. I don't know what this is. And I went with her, and I saw all the people, and I met the people. Like I went to visit the school a couple times with her, and saw the challenges that she faced, like learning about this stuff. And I really put some pieces together for me that kind of, I think I knew about myself that I didn't know how to explain or didn't know how to talk about. So the school gave me a framework, because that's what Barbara did. She created a huge framework for all this. That was just, like I said, groundbreaking and pretty much the way it works. So, and people have expounded on this now and learned more things and created their own stuff. But it was an amazing program, and it continues to be an amazing program. So anyway, I got so excited, right, that I went through 4 years. Then I went through the teacher training experience and the supervisor training, and then I started teaching there. And
so is it a certification?
So it's now it's a college, so you get a bachelor of science degree.
Don't you do life coach too? Are you a life
well,
coach
so
no?
I
or is part of?
Yeah, it's not. So the actual healing work is just that. It's hands-on energy healing. So it's based, like I said, Barbara was a NASA physicist, so it's based on physics, right? So the idea being, if I understand and control and can regulate my energy system, say it's my system here, then I can also affect change on another system. That's physics, right? If this vibrates, then this vibrates. They kind of start to vibrate together. So that's the idea about it, behind it. And then there's 4 years of teaching that I can tell you how to do certain things and modulate different parts.
So you're learning to control your body mechanism?
That's part of it.
Like mind over matter type of thing? Or no?
Well, not mind over matter as much, because that's kind of bullshit.
But, but wait a minute.
Because you can't, it's not mind over matter, it's actual physics.
Okay, but if somebody's like having, let me just throw this out here. Okay?
I mean, not positive thinking is, it's not that's bad. Yeah. It's just not, that's like saying, I want to win the lottery, so I'm going to win the lottery.
No, but that's going overboard.
But it's the same concept.
But I mean, if you're a positive, uplifting person, that's you're just like looking for the right things in life to bring you down the right path and do the right things for what's best for you. But let me just ask you about like when you're talking about like you having a panic attack. So you learn how to control your body and your mind, so you're not going to have these attacks. And it takes a while for people to learn how to control their breathing and stuff like that, so they're not going to go. So would you say that's part of energy healing, or
I think it's so there's so many broad bases now that we talk about. I think at this point the energy healing is actually very specific, right? Okay. And that's why it takes 4 years. Because it becomes very specific. It can do very specific things. Okay. And
well, give me an example of this specific thing.
Well, the easiest thing that I can tell you that you can see, right, is, for example, you sprain your ankle, right? What happens when you sprain your ankle?
You can't walk on it. It swells up. It hurts. It's painful.
Right. So it swells up. It hurts, and you sometimes can't walk on it for a while.
Right.
Okay. So if I'm standing right next to you when you sprain your ankle, what I can do is do some of the techniques that we learn at the school, which would be like some restructuring, some clearing of the energy field right around that, and this has happened literally to me with clients, which is, so if I do the clearing and if I do the restructuring, the pain is less, the swelling goes down, like almost immediately, and you'll be able to walk on it a lot sooner.
So do you have to be there like right away, or is it?
Well, obviously, as soon as the body starts to do their thing, it's going to do its thing. I'm not like cutting you open literally.
Right.
But
you're not a miracle man.
Well, no, of course not. I mean, so I'm not. It's not surgery in the traditional sense, but it is. it is dynamically that way, right? We're talking about restructuring some things.
So somebody who hurt their ankle can't wait a week to come to you. It's something that they should do right away? Or?
They could wait a week.
They could.
Well, yeah, because it could still help. But
okay.
it's not gonna make the swelling go down immediately the way it could have.
If they had contacted you earlier. Okay.
Yeah, so it's not like contact me. It's just, that's not like, hey, that's one of my clients, they come and do that with me. But say you have a longer term experience that you're dealing with, a health issue.
Okay.
Then what I find fascinating about the energy work, and you probably could talk to doctors, and I don't know if they admit it to you or not, but, even if you know what's going on, like you see something and this is what's going on with a person, that's their health problem. Usually the reason that it's going on is different for each person. Right?
Everybody's body is different, and the way it reacts to things is different.
Well, not only the body, though.
Physical.
The reasons why they think the way they do.
Mm-hmm.
The reasons why, you're talking about positive thinking before, right? And it's like, yeah, I get it, but that's a very small piece of the puzzle.
Okay.
Right? So anyway, the whole person is what we're treating, right? So body, mind, spirit, all that kind of stuff that you hear about.
So like The Secret. You've read The Secret?
Yeah, concept.
Energy out there. It's a concept. Like
it's the concept is there. Yes,
yeah,
The Secret is like, not all encompassing either.
No, but
yes.
it's a concept.
It's the concept is there, and there's lots of different dynamics to it. That's why it's a 4-year program, right? It's not something you learn in a week. It's not something that you learn in a weekend. Right.
Yeah, so it's all encompassing in the whole aura of your body.
It is all about the aura.
Yeah.
It is at that point.
Okay.
And the chakra system is an amazing little thing that it does to us for us, right? And so if I can, if as a healer, if I can support that in a way that's, let's just say, more healthy for right now. Just to make it easier. If I can support that system in a more healthy way, then that's going to take you in a different direction. That's going to support you in a different direction. And that's what I do.
Okay.
Right? So people come to me with all kinds of different things. Definitely physical ailments, but,
emotional
physical is
problems.
physical. Yeah, but emotional stuff, of course.
Yes.
And again, the dynamics of that are always different. Like, why do I have these feelings? Well, we can talk about that. Right. So part of my healing work is the actual hands-on doing things, like fixing the ankle, fixing quote unquote, right? Helping you with the ankle.
Helping, yeah.
But part of that is also, like, okay, so why did I twist my ankle? What was I doing that I wasn't paying attention that I twisted my ankle?
Right.
So then you can start talking about what's going on psychologically and how you feel about yourself when you twist your ankle. Like the light bulb switched. Okay, that's good because there's just more to it.
Yeah.
It's not just, things don't just happen to you. They don't just happen.
You cause them to happen.
Well, you are part of it. You are.
Yeah, I always say I'm an accident waiting to happen, which is true. I'm not paying attention to things, and all of a sudden I'm falling off of something because
you're co-creating that.
Exactly.
So conceivably, you could also co-create something different.
Exactly. Now I don't get on ladders.
well, that's an interesting avoidance mechanism. But, in theory, yes, right? So, you're walking down the path and you fall into the hole. And you go, shit. And the next day, you're walking down the path and you fall into the hole. And you go, shit. Okay, well, there's probably a hole there.
I know.
So you
recognize the fact that there's a hole there.
Well, so
stop falling in it.
But see, now that you're all the way down the road already. The first step is realizing that there's a hole, and you still fall into it, but you knew it was there.
Okay.
Then you start thinking, well, what if there were other options? First, you have to have the awareness that there's a hole there, not just, oh shit, I fell in the hole because I was on my phone, or I was talking to somebody else and I fell in the hole. Like, so there's a process.
So you kind of restructure.
There's a process of, awareness and choices and all the things. So again, it's mind, body, spirit. right? So there's the body thing, you've fallen in the damn hole.
Right.
But there's also like, so what are the other options? Why do you keep falling in the hole? Why do you keep making the same choice? What's the choice that you're actually making? Why do you make that choice? What, so all this kind of stuff that, I mean, it's psychology.
It interlocks together.
It's psychology.
Yeah.
And the energy work supports that. So, if I do it, so the other part of this is if I do the energy work on you and you don't do anything different, it's not going to hold.
It's not. Yeah.
It's not going to.
It's not going to help you.
You're going to just be the same anyway.
It's not going to help the person.
So you have to. This is why when people come to me, they're already going, "I want something different. I want to change something." Not even change. Maybe it's just a shift that they need to make in the way they think, or the way they feel, or the way they
or the way they react to things, or don't react to things, or whatever.
Well, that's all dynamic, and so we have. The school teaches us, and I taught for many years. It's almost a whole different language of how to talk to people, right? And so part of that is why it's difficult to explain, because it's like if I start talking about specific terms, I don't get that, right? It's like I'm not sure what that means, but you can understand the ankle, right? The ankle you can help the ankle heal faster. Like if you have to go to surgery, right, for your appendix, I can help your body heal faster. I can help the surgery goes smoother, right? And it's just little things that are dynamically different. And once you get the stitches in, then I can start to restructure things inside that. It's the energy field, but the energy field is right below your physical, right? So it almost like supports the template that you are.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't want to get too weird.
Why not? We already know you're weird, so what's yours to make?
You give birth to weird.
It's full of weirdness. So anyways, it's fascinating for me. Fascinating work.
Right.
Because like I said, even if somebody presents the same thing that I've seen before for, in other people, the reasons why it's there are different. So the treatment would be different.
So
right?
how do you have these people come to you? Do you have like a website? How do you do this? Or is it just people know that
he's got it's 2buttontim.com.
That should be true.
You know what the cool thing is what do you think the first thing he took advantage of when he started going to school? He could heal his own penis without even touching it.
Oh my God. See what happens?
See? And that's why he went to the school.
Telekinetics.
It all goes back to this. Always with this man. Always with this man.
Right to it.
But no, how do people, or do people just know that you are involved in this? Or you?
Well, okay, so
how do you?
So at this point in my experience, right? I've been teaching for I had been teaching for a long time. And so I had at the same time been in private practice for a long time.
Okay.
So I basically started doing work with people, right when I graduated, right? Because that's when you're done, you graduate, you start to go to work.
Yeah.
Hang your shingle, right? So part of that work for a long time, because I was a teacher or an instructor at the school, was the students that were at the school would come to me to help them learn about what's going on, what the school is, blah, 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 and how to work with their stuff, quote unquote, that's impeding something for them.
Everything better.
So because because you're doing literally intimate work with people, there's a requirement that you do your own personal process work, like see a psychologist, right, on a regular basis, because things are going to come up and you're actually touching people physically, but you're also touching them emotionally and literally spiritually.
Yes.
So you have to be aware of that and conscious of that.
Right.
And so anyway, there's responsibility, I think.
So how does someone then get in touch with you if they wanted to?
Usually at this point, it's usually referral.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, in that world, especially being, he was a teacher, instructor.
Right,
I mean,
right.
I think like everything else, you just become known in that
community,
in that field, and then that word starts to spread, and people come to you, and then it really depends on how much time you really even have, how many people you want to take on.
and
in
that's it.
conjunction with everything else you're doing and your family and everything else. But I think he's at the point where he doesn't really have to market himself.
Well, it's just, when I was talking earlier, right, we were talking about being weekend warriors on the music scene, right? And then so I really only have a few days during the week
to do things,
right? And then I'm, I used to work a lot more, right? And I'm like, yeah, I don't really want to do that. Okay. I don't want to see that many people. It's a lot. It's mentally a lot. Right? It's mentally and physically a lot to hold, because literally I'm holding another person's experience and process and all of their stuff for that time. And it and that's a lot to hold.
And after all this time, you couldn't have healed Martin?
No, because he doesn't ask.
Oh, okay.
This is not certain people you can't help.
Right? And there are certain people that are beyond.
No. And I guess you have to be.
You don't want to hold that energy. You don't want to even touch that.
Well, it is what it is, right?
No,
it's
I
like
find it fascinating.
People that want it. And you know pretty quickly if they don't.
I would have to say that there has to be a certain amount of openness that he would know, like that you're open to it.
Well,
yeah, it's like anything else. Like,
you're going in there with an open mind, and you're gonna allow him to do.
It's something that you want to accept.
Exactly.
You've come to a point where you want to accept what.
If you're calling me,
because I think there's probably
if you're calling me, you're calling me to do something. You're probably ready to do something, because you've probably tried some other things.
Right.
First. Right. So if you're calling me, you've
gotten to
been looking for something.
Yeah.
Right. So that's where the kind of referral comes in and stuff. I mean, if you're looking and somebody says, well, maybe you want to go talk to Tim, then they've probably looked other places.
Yeah.
And then also, and some people want, and the truth is some people want specific things. Like, I'm working through this part of my life and it's challenging. So I just need support. Right. So then I'll do that. I'll do healings and maybe work with them a little bit on the phone. Everything's long distance. I don't do anything in person anymore.
Oh, okay. So you do like Zoom things?
Yeah. I mean,
or just phone?
It's mostly the way I've structured my business now, which is maybe a little different from a lot of people, is, hands-on healing is literally that, hands-on healing.
Well, yeah. You can't do that on phone.
So it's funny, right? So now I'm telling you now that's not what I do, but it's really what I do. So the latter part of the training is about being able to do long distance connection. So that's something that you, again, learn, but also.
You've been doing it for how many years now?
Yeah, I'm 25 years in.
Yeah. Okay. So 25 years gives you a lot of experience on how to deal with people and what you need to do. And stuff. Yeah. You wouldn't be doing that right out of school, just doing phone calls and stuff and not.
Usually not.
Yeah. No.
Usually not.
No.
I mean, especially with COVID, I mean, there's no other choice.
Oh my God, that would have shut you down if that was your whole
I mean, there's no
if
other.
that was the only thing you were making money off of.
There's no other
music.
You just went into the poorhouse.
Totally shut down.
There was no choice. Yeah. But that was neither here nor there. I was doing it already.
Right. Okay.
Right. Because also, like I said, I was working in Miami. I was working in Austria. So I was working with people in Miami and people in Austria and all over the country who would come to that, to those places.
Right.
So it was already phone connection stuff a lot.
So amazing. I find this so amazing. Like when Eddie told me what you did, I was like, wait, let me look this up. I've never heard. I said, wow, I can't really wait to hear what this entails, because I love stuff I love talking to people who do that kind of work. I love to talk to people who've been through these kind of experiences. And I just think it's such a wonderful thing for people to try and keep themselves in a certain spot in their mind, in their body, and their soul. Yeah. Which it is. It's like.
Right. Like I said, positive thinking is a piece of it. And it's interesting, but it's not.
It's not
the
package. Whole thing, right?
Yeah. So, having a positive attitude, of course, is always important.
It is very important.
I mean, that's always going to be the truth. And just because you say it doesn't mean it's true.
Right. No, you're right.
Right? So there might be...
Unless you're a politician.
Well, then it's definitely not true. That is definitely not true.
And everything on the interwebs is true, too. So.
But this is an interesting field, there's an interesting.
Anytime you
work.
deal with energy and anything related to energy, I mean, you know, you could talk to a million people and they'll give you their own little take on it. But
Right.
until you actually speak to someone who actually does know
And-
about that aspect of it, plus all the other aspects that tie into it, because, you know, I mean, after you talk to someone like Tim, you realize there's, you know, when you hear
so much more
people talk about chakras and stuff like that, I
Yeah.
mean, they don't even really know
They haven't even
what they even are
touched base
talking
with-
about. Like
yeah.
they kind of generally get a pseudo concept, but they don't really know. Like they want to believe in it. They do believe in it, but they
Well,
really
some
don't
people
know anything
are
about it.
touchy-feely. If they can't touch it and taste it and see it with their own eyes.
But
then
he
they-
has
but, you know.
And that's the
an
challenge.
understanding of
Yeah.
it all.
That's a real that's the real challenge, and I think part of
Yeah.
I think if I again go a little esoteric on you,
Okay.
I mean, I think my job in this place is to bring that spiritual space to a more real experience, like so to work with real people, because if you just want to meditate, you can go into the cave and meditate and never see anybody and be like blissful,
Mhm.
but then you're not in human existence. You're just and I don't want that. I don't want to be that person.
Okay.
You can go meditate only.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of people that do and are happy as shit, to be honest.
Mhm.
They're happy as hell. But I want to actually be involved with people and have that connection.
Okay.
And that's the difference, I think, for
Yeah.
me. And for some people, they, like you said, they stay in their little bubble.
Mhm.
And that's cool. I don't
Yeah,
have any
I
problem
can
with
If
that.
they're
understand
happy
that.
doing that, and
I don't have any
they
problem
don't
with
want
that.
anything more out of it, and they're not hurting themselves or other people, then
Yeah,
that's
no, of
fine,
course. I'm not
but-
saying that anything is bad or good. I'm just saying there's different choices.
Right.
And
Right.
and for me, part of it is to bring this out. And also, the last thing I'll say about this is just my practice now tends to be some individuals,
Mhm.
right, that are just looking to work on some stuff. Like I get people that come in for a couple of months and do a few things, and then they go do their thing again, right? And
Mhm.
maybe they'll call me later, right?
Right.
I have some regular guys and gals
Mhm.
that are just on their path, and they want to keep on their path, and so they keep on their path. And I also work with some people that are also working with others. So, for example, I have a person that gives workshops, or that works in companies. So I work with them, so that then they can go work with them. So I don't have to
Yeah.
go. So I'm,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So I'm touching the one person that's going to go touch 50 more.
Right.
So that's really gratifying to me personally.
Right.
I like that part of it where because it's a lot of work to go one to one to one to one.
Right. No, you're right.
And so that's
So-
a fun part of it for me, to work with people that are also working with others.
Well, I really appreciate you expressing yourself on this. I think it was very interesting. I was so happy to have you on this second podcast and learn so much more about this. It's very, very interesting. And I'm sure it could help a lot more people in this world, because Lord knows this world needs it.
That's
So,
That's
Tim, I really want to
that's putting it
thank
nicely.
you for, spending the time with us and being with us and let us know, aside from all your music, there's a whole nother area to you that is so
area. Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to say area,
Area
the
51.
dynamics,
Seriously, right?
between music and
definitely
this
alien.
is like from one end to the other extreme. So I'm really happy that
Thanks.
I had you on the show today, and I hope everybody enjoyed this show, because I know I did very much. And again, we'd like to thank you for your time in watching us. We're funnyminds.com or funnyminds.podbean.com. And make sure you take a look at us, like us, come back, help us support our organizations, St. Jude's Children's Hospital and breast cancer. And we'll be happy to touch base with you again and see you again on our next podcast. Bye-bye, everybody.